Okay, we're talking about niche, and all a niche is every single thing about how a species lives. So it's their way of life. It's their job description. It's what range of temperatures they can survive and how much water they need and what they can eat, or how much sunlight they need to make their food, or what eats them, and what they eat, how they reproduce, when they reproduce, how many offspring they have, when are they active, who do they compete with, who do they complement, who do they help, who do they parasitize. That's all part of the niche. Okay, so what's a niche? Oh, not much, just everything about how an organism lives. Now, this often gets described earlier in science, in middle school. The sort of middle school version of what's an organism's niche is, what's their job? If you had to put out a classified ad for the Fox, how would you describe their job? Yeah, okay, I guess that's okay for a middle school description. In terms of who they eat and when they're active, what are their working hours? Well, they're mostly nocturnal. What do? They eat small rodents. How do they reproduce? Do they do parental care? Yes, they have litters of kits, and they care for them, and they nurse them. They're mammals. Blah, blah, blah. Who do they compete with? Oh, other small canids, coyotes they have a little bit of competition with. What do they prey on? Mostly mice, voles, things like that. Okay, that's a that's a start of a description of niche. But niche really goes a little further than that. It's everything about their lifestyle. So we're going to do an example together. No, on a blank slide. Okay, so the red-tailed hawk, you guys said it's a bird, and what we know is that means they're warm-blooded, which we're going to replace with a vocabulary word from yesterday. They are a regulator. You are a regulator. When you get too cold, you shiver. When you get too hot, you sweat. Your body temperature doesn't just float with the ambient temperature, with the environment, like a snake or a frog or a turtle. Birds do the same thing. They regulate their internal body temperature. They have a series of feedback mechanisms to maintain what? What do we call that? Homeostasis. They regulate their body temperature to maintain homeostasis. Have you guys ever seen a cold bird sitting on a line or sitting on a feeder? What do? They puff up. They raise all their feathers, and that traps an additional layer of air for insulation up against their body. This is the same muscle that gives you goosebumps. Goosebumps are a vestigial feature of a past when we had a whole lot more fur than we do. We had ancestors who were a lot furrier than us. If you're really furry like a dog or really feathery like a bird, and those same they're called piloerector muscles, go up, it means all your fur stands up or all your feathers stand up, and it traps a layer of air against your body, and hey, it helps keep you warm. These guys are regulators. They can do a whole bunch of stuff to stay warm. Okay, what else do you know about these? Talk at your tables, and then I'm going to spy on your tables. Did you guys talk to one another yet? Okay, all right. Not wrong. Give me something with a little bit more depth. Talk to one another.
Carnivores.
Okay. Okay, good eyesight. What else did you say?
I said the carnivores.
They're carnivorous? What did you say? Okay, they're carnivorous. Okay, do we have something with more depth than red tails?
They got a beak.
Okay. These are all physical characteristics that you're listing, which aren't necessarily part of what we would consider niche, but they start to hint at niche. What do they use that sharp beak for? To eat small rodents. Yeah. So, okay. And you guys already gave me you gave me bird. Okay. Okay, so I've got several tables that have come up with some version of they eat meat. They are carnivores. More specifically, a few tables mention they tend to, these are not going to carry off your calf. Oh, let me put a picture of a red tail. These are birds that have a fairly good wingspan, but they're not going to carry off your toddler. They're not going to carry off a sheep. They're not going to carry off a cow. They are going to carry off, they're a middle-sized hawk. They're smaller than a bald eagle. They're larger than some hawks. But they will certainly carry off a mouse, a chipmunk, a vole, all kinds of little mammals. possibly small dog or kitten, but not common. Not common. But lots of small mammals. So carnivores, and specifically small rodents. Why do I specify small rodents? Are there large rodents?
Yes.
Yes. Name me the largest rodent in North America.
Deer.
Students of Beaver local.
Beavers.
Beavers. Castor canadensis. Largest rodent in North America. They're adorable.
Name a rodent.
What about birds in general and their reproduction? Talk at your table. Live birth, eggs. Males fertilize the eggs. They do perform what we would recognize as a sort of an intercourse, though male birds don't have a penis, so they do what's called the cloacal kiss, which is like two mouths lining up and one delivering sperm to the other, which goes up the oviduct. I know, more than you wanted to know. Huh?
They just like
No, it's called the cloacal kiss. The cloaca is a urogenital opening at the back of the bird, so meaning that everything is handled via one hole. So pee and poop are kind of one package. If you've seen bird poop, it's that brown and white stuff. The white stuff is analogous to urine for humans, but it's concentrated. The dark stuff is analogous to feces for humans. That same hole manages reproductive functions and excretory functions. So sperm goes in, eggs come out. One hole. And same hole that waste products pass out of. So that's why it's called a urogenital opening. But it's just like a little mouth. Who here has seen a chicken lay an egg? Who has snuck up and looked at the back end of a chicken while they're like, oh, you should totally do it. If you have watched a chicken lay an egg, you should be proud of this. What you need to do is sneak up behind chickens who are sitting. Well, it's not really birth. It's as close as the chicken will get. And you'll see that there's like a little mouth that opens up, egg comes out. It's not a mouth, but it looks a lot like it. The cloaca is just an opening that opens and closes. So, anyway, birds, like chickens, like red-tailed hawks, don't give live birth. Lay eggs. Do you know if birds provide any parental care? We talked about fish, and that fish don't provide parental care for the most part. Like they lay the eggs, they swim away. Somebody fertilizes the eggs, they all swim away, and the little babies hatch, and they either make it or they don't. Tough luck. STD walleye. You're not getting any parental care. Do birds typically provide parental care?
Yes.
Yes. So red tails are interesting in that both parents provide parental care. While one is sitting on the eggs, the other is bringing food back for the sitter. And once the chicks hatch, they both provide food. So they lay eggs, they provide parental care. They care for their young. What else do you know about red tails? Who here has seen a red-tailed hawk? I'm going to assign homework of bird watching. You should have seen a red-tailed hawk if you've been awake and outside and paying any level of attention to anything other than your phone. You should not pay attention to the phone. You should pay attention to the birds. So we tend to see these things during the day or night? Day. They are diurnal. They are diurnal. Okay, this starts to describe their niche. What have we missed? Types of food it eats, amount of water it needs. We don't have that. Range of temperatures they can survive in. Do red tails stay here in the winter or do they migrate? They stay. They're here all winter long. So they are, at least we would think, somewhat cold tolerant. Are they here in the summer? Can they tolerate heat? Yes. They are, well, in terms of temperature range, yes. Do we know what habitat features they require? Not without looking it up. So I'm introducing this sort of practice to you because, as you probably guessed, what you're going to do today, I told you you were going to adopt a species. So you're going to pick a species of your own from a list that I provided, and you're going to start researching their niche. Okay? So there are other things here that we would have to research. How often does reproduction occur? When do they breed? How many eggs do they typically have a season? Those physical characteristics aren't necessarily part of their niche. Like I had at one table that really wanted to list physical characteristics: red tail, beak, talons. Yeah. You could also add to that for a slightly more complicated picture of physical characteristics. These guys are sexually dimorphic. What? What does that mean? Okay, let's piece this out. What does the prefix, what does morph refer to? You better all know this. Shape. So these are sexually dimorphic. So this means shape. What does the prefix di refer to? How many? Hold up fingers. 2. Di and bi both refer to 2. Sexually two-shaped. What does that mean? It means that the males and females look different.
Oh, like how they say.
Yeah. You can tell a male bird from a female bird. Who here has seen a cardinal? Okay, can you tell a boy cardinal from a girl cardinal? Of course you can, you moron. Moser, what are you thinking? The boys are bright red, the girls are drab brown. That is sexual dimorphism. Oh! Are humans sexually dimorphic? Yes. Males are on average slightly larger. Males have facial hair. We have other secondary sexual characteristics. So aside from genitals, you can tell a human male from a human female in general. There's a range of characteristics. But in general, we have secondary sexual characteristics, which make that a little easier. With red-tailed hawks, they are sexually dimorphic. The females are larger or smaller than males? Larger. I knew a woman once, she did raptor rehabilitation. Gail, I can't remember her last name, and Gail was about 4'9". She was this teeny little fierce woman, and who could handle eagles and turkey vultures and red-tailed hawks and owls, and had rescued all of them and done low-level medical procedures. She was pretty awesome. She ran a wild bird sanctuary in southeast Ohio. And Gail, when she was presenting, would always talk about the characteristics of birds, and she would always say, in my next life, I'm going to be a raptor. Raptor females are bigger and shinier. It's the reverse of what we think of with sexual dimorphism in birds, where usually the males are brighter and bigger, and we think of males as being bigger because in a lot of mammal species that's true. In birds of prey, it's almost universal that females are bigger. Kind of cool. Okay, these are components of niche. So what I'm going to have you do now, if you go to classroom, you're going to find 2 things. One is selecting your species.